Hey, evening everyone. At least it's evening here. Let me check something, make sure I'm not eating up. Yeah. We only have three of us right now, so we're not in a big hurry to start. I'm just gonna go into it like everybody can rewatch it later. I'm taking advantage of the fact that I have internet here. In Indonesia, it seems like a lot of these places just don't have good internet. So I've been using mostly my data packages, but in Malaysia, there was a trick with how I was able to go live so much. Is Doug from Planet Doug? He showed me that you can get like 2,000 gigabytes for 9 days for a very very cheap price. It was like the equivalent of doing it 3 times a month was like their lowest price package for data, and it was crazy. So 2,000 gigs is not anything you'd be able to use up in in uh, in 9 days. So every time you'd repurchase the package, right before it expired, you would actually get the carryover. So after a while, I had something crazy like 9,000 gigs and stuff. Hey, let's see who do we just have pop in here? Darren. Hey, what's up, my brother? How you doing? So I just wanted to take advantage of the fact that this place actually had decent Wi-Fi. The deer place I was at last time with those awesome. Those deers are awesome. So um, a thing here. I'll go on a little bit of a hobo ramble. I know there's only 11 of us, but too bad. Get here on time next time. But with deer, my grandpa, he had a big like fruit farm or orchard. Like it was basically a farm, but it was for fruit. We didn't have like livestock like cows or nothing, right? Unless we were borrowing our neighbor's cow to like eat down the weeds and stuff, which was a thing. Hey, hello everyone, how you doing? Now we're getting some people that are dropping in. Are you still in Bima? Yes, I'm still in Bima. I switched to a place a little closer. This is one of the Red Doors properties that they recommended at the bicycle shop. The bicycle shop should be on the newest member video, and I'm going to flip the members video over to public tomorrow. Just because I already put out one video, I don't want to put out too many videos. I already put one out public for today, I do believe, right? Yeah, I did. I made the thumbnail and everything for it, so I don't want to put out too many. So tomorrow, that one will be public too. But members, I try and get them out as soon as I upload them. But I was able to upload a few videos today. I was just getting ready to talk about the deer. My grandpa had like a fruit orchard, so I kind of grew up on a fruit. Like every summer, my cousin would get dropped off over there, and since I was his age, I was kind of like my parents would drop me off for the summer too, just so my cousin would have a playmate. And it was like my cousin's mom wasn't the best mom in the world. She was more worried about her dating life than she was about raising a kid. So she like every year she would like every summer, instead of having to take care of her kid for like summer vacation, would dump it on our grandparents. And our grandparents come from the Dust Bowl and the Great Depression days. So they're the type of people that would take nails. But my grandpa had to have like mason jars of nails and screws, and the nails, when you pulled them out of a house, you just re-straightened them out and reused them again. And if you didn't need them at the time, you'd save it. Same way with like, I know this isn't halal, so we used to have a big thing of pork fat, so like when you were done making bacon, that bacon grease would go into a big coffee can, and it would be used later for like frying biscuits and stuff. Everything got reused. Our house was not, my grandparents' house was not actually, my grandparents' house was not what you call historical, but it was made out of historical houses that were disassembled, because back then you just didn't like wreck a house. You disassembled the house and reused all the lumber and stuff like that again. Everything got reused. And this was a habit because that was formed from having nothing, you know, from having basically nothing, like during the Great Depression and stuff. You had to reuse everything. There was no such thing as garbage, you know. Um, Obviously there was, but if it could be reused, it would. But being out on the farm, my grandpa found a little baby deer. So this is why the last base I was at with those deers, I thought the deers were super cool because, yeah, he found it's still wet and like steaming because like the mother just birthed it and then left it, right? And it kind of wandered out in the street. My grandpa saw it, picked it up and took it home. Well, we had a dog named Bear. Bear was like super hyperactive, like dog. And my grandpa's not like a super active type of grandparent, right? And so so they decided to keep the deer. And that deer grew up with the dog, playing with the dog all the time and stuff, and thought it was a dog. You know, I mean, that he didn't know any better. It was raised by a dog, and they would play all the time. And the deer's name was Bimbi. And Bimbi got bigger and bigger and bigger to the point where it started sprouting its little horns. And but it was like super friendly. It didn't know it was just used to humans and thinking it was a house pet. The whole time it slept on the couch, in the living room, and it played all day outside, and it was just a normal thing. But what happened was there was a jogger jogging down the street. And although we're on a fruit orchard, there was kind of not a main road, but a road that went out to a lot of the housing and stuff farther back. Well, the person was jogging with the dog. Bimby saw the dog, wanted to go try and play with it, right? Well, this jogger just sees a deer come shooting out of the bushes and chasing the dog around. She's screaming, "Ah!" And the deer's chasing the dog, and the dog's freaking out, it's just because the deer's like twice its size. And that dog was just running around. So my grandparents was like, "Oh no, we could get sued and all this." So eventually, my grandpa didn't want to do it, but he called basically like animal rescue. They came out. It was too late. I mean, it was too late for the deer to be put back into the wild. So what it was a domesticated animal for. Like petting zoo where schools would come and get educated about animals that's ran by the forestry and stuff like this. So they used the deer as still a very docile deer. It's just, my grandparents didn't want to give it up, but they're like, this is a lawsuit. A deer's not an animal that I think you're allowed to actually own. So anyway, that's my hobo ramble. Sorry guys. So those deers kind of brought back those memories from back in the days when I used to hang out out on the fruit orchard with my cousin during the summers. Anyway, sorry, that's a long one. I'm long-winded at times, guys, and I repeat myself a lot. So, I'm in Bima. I got here a few days ago. I stayed 2 nights at the spot out there, and over on the Telegram board, which you guys that want to be part of that, you can just find the link in the description of the videos. Pop on over. It's open to everyone. It's me, Doug, Flea, Tom. There's a few active people all the time. But we were like discussing about me getting from Bima up on the ferry up to Makassar, right? Well, it's like every week, so every Sunday a boat leaves, and this Sunday they were all sold out. So I can't get up to Makassar. I'd have to stay here till the following week and buy a ticket for that time, right? And I even went down to the pier and I talked to the security, and he was like, "Yeah, no, get the ticket now because they sell out, So you have to try and buy them in advance. But so I would have to wait around here in Bima for like another week or so, or I could leave and go camping somewhere in the boondocks and then come back when it's ready. And there's also a possibility of another dock that's like 45 kilometers to the east more, but that's something else that I found out about later. But for this Sunday, there was a ticket open for going to Labuan Bajo. It's Bajo. I wrote down my notes here. So Labuan, that's on the island of Flores. It's the next one over on the east. And And that's actually tonight. So tonight at midnight, the boat leaves at 3, but you can start loading up at midnight tonight. So that ticket was open. And I decided instead of waiting around for a week, I could be pedaling for a week. And so I'm going to go over to Flores. So I'm going over to Baggio, and then I'm going to be taking the northern route, I do believe, 592 kilometers. Oh, which provider am I using for my phone? Telkomsel. They're the ones that will unlock your phone if you forget to do it with the customs. What that work you have done on your bike was super cheap. How the bike keeping up? Let me jump over here on these comments. The bike's holding up really good for more of a cheaper bicycle. Yeah, it's a Southeast Asian one. It's a Camp Cruise. It's very excellent. The Shimano parts are really paying off. What they had to do though is they don't have 29-inch. There's only one bicycle shop throughout this whole area, and so they said we can fashion you a spoke, a 29-inch out of a 27.5, right? And what they basically take the 27.5 and beat it with a hammer. Yeah, you're softening the metal when you do that. You're making it not as structurally sound, but when you're pounding on it, it will expand. And so it was the alternative is just not to have any spokes. And actually, he ended up replacing 4 of them. So yeah, he was able to stretch them. And at first, they're like 40,000 plus. That's including the chain, right? 40,000, but it took them so long, and they're like, well, actually, we didn't realize this much work was going to go into it, so 70,000, okay. Remember, and I actually gave him 100,000 because that's only $6, and he fixed the chain, he replaced the spokes, 4 spokes. I thought 100,000 is like the least I could give him. $6 is, that he's worth more than $6 because he did a good job, working with the tools that he had. But I couldn't find a chain breaker or anything. I need a chain breaker. Honestly, I do. It was one of those tools that slipped my brain before I left. They make a very small multi-tool one that's the chain breaker. It's very teeny, but it works fine, and that's the one I actually kind of want. But they wouldn't sell me theirs because the tools to work on them are you have to order them. Everything has to be ordered and brought in. And they're like, hey, you can order these parts if you want it. And I was like, I'm trying to move along. So anyway, I enjoyed their work. Even though, it was like you just basically pay what you feel is worth it. And so I gave him 100,000. That's $6 for all the work. And I'm telling you, he spent a long time, and they were really cool there. So I definitely recommend those guys for just trying to figure it out and, and getting it done. And, they did a good job. So anyway, sorry about that little sidetrack. And a squirrel, one of those things. I'm not going, I thought you're going to go straight to Australia, the Bali. No, no, Eric, Eric, Australia being one of the more expensive ones and all the way down at the bottom comes very last. So I'm doing like an S shape down this whole side, but then all these islands over here I'd miss, right? But if I jump over this one, like Let's Go Cycling, I think jumped over here and missed all this part down here. Well, I'm going all the way down, and then I'm going to do an S hook back up to the Philippines. And Let's Go Cycling just went from the Philippines over to India. And that's where me and him are going to be breaking away from routes because I want to get down to, you have to ship your bicycle anyway. So instead of shipping it up to India, I'll ship mine down to Australia, do the whole east side, and then I'll be going over to doing both of the islands over in the land of the Hobbit, over New Zealand. So yeah, that's the plan. I know these are all explained on my videos. I just don't know which ones. Someone was asking about how I made my money and stuff. I'm like, I have it in my videos, or how much I spend per day. I'm like, it's different per place I go, but I've done all the breakdowns before. A lot of people don't believe me, but yeah, you can get away with $10 or less in food. You can actually get away with like $15 a day, no problem, in food, combined with where you're staying in Southeast Asia, you know. Um, but there's no problem with surviving on $8 for food. That's actually eating good too. My biggest expenditures are liquids. I drink a lot of energy drinks, electrolytes, just to get out of the sun and take a break. I'll have something to drink, so I spend a lot of money that way. So, but even then, it's only like the equivalent of 50 cents a drink. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous because these are luxuries that you couldn't afford in the United States. You're talking about you're going to be paying 4 times the amount in the United States, and so yeah. Now I appreciate Southeast Asia for that, and I understand it's so beautiful too, and the people are so great that it's like it's a combination of everything. It's like, why wouldn't you want to come here and do a bicycle tour? You wouldn't even have to camp, but I like camping. I really do. But if you budgeted your money for $15 a day, then you could live very good on a bicycle tour here. And you wouldn't have to really sleep in a tent. You just have to make sure you go for the cheaper spots, like the Roach motels and stuff. Um, let's see. There's Planet Doug. And you do actually have the blue wrench next to you. Your name, congratulations there, Doug. How did you get that? No, this is the only time that blue wrench is going to show up, Doug, so you know. So that's good. If you guys don't know, Doug's been with my channel since the beginning and helping me learn the whole YouTube thing because knowing nothing, he's like, hey, and Southeast Asia. He was able to he saved my bacon a few times when I didn't know where to go. Tanjambalai was like that. I was about ready to sleep on the street, and he goes, "Hey, try this spot for 80,000 a night." It was really nice, and that was the spot he stayed for quite some time. Did a lot of videos there. So yeah, I decided it was like I wanted him to help me out even more by giving him a blue wrench. That way, if I can't keep up with my comments, definitely as an authority, because I'm sure he watched all my videos. He came in very early when I started. He gives one of the best explanations, nice thought out ones, very in depth. So he's helped me a lot. So you guys feel free. He has full ownership to go ahead and throw someone off the board too if they are a JO. Yeah, so just that's why if I can't keep up with the comments and someone gets in there, because we've been having a few spammers, trolls, and trolling on YouTube and public platforms. I understand is a form of self therapy. That's what it is. It's when you're feeling really bad that you get on and you try and just take that out on someone else. And you're on there, you're cynical, you're not really looking to engage in a good faith argument or good faith, discussion, or, you're there to actually pick apart and destroy and just basically belittle people, just so you feel better, And it is. I understand it's a form of self-therapy, but the thing is, you're not going to therapize. You're not going to do the self-therapy on my board. So if you want to try and package up your insults, as your opinion, nah, it's not going to happen. So I'll leave a few people up as examples, but honestly, it's not. If I let a board, become that, then no one will want to make comments anymore. No one will want to actually. And there is nothing wrong with pointing out something. I changed to what people say, like, hey, maybe you should do this. I might do it, I might not, but I do recognize, and I was like, hey, maybe I should. Someone actually, although he worded it in a very bad way, I've changed to what he, is like pretty stupid not, putting the name of the place, the name of the country you're in. Well, the flags are in the title, right? in the description, there's actually my Strava, my Relive, and stuff like this. So in my thumbnails, I've been putting the flag back in my thumbnails, and at the beginning, I'm not only listing the place that I'm in, but also the country I'm in. The country I'm in, not just Indonesia, but more like the individual island. So I have changed, although he worded it in a very bad way, and actually, I think thank you, Doug, got on there and gave him a very long explanation on how he's wrong, but it shows that I do listen. So I do appreciate any of the comments, but I do listen. So anyway, after I leave tonight at midnight, I did, because the rain's been so bad here, I stayed another night here. All the places are here are basically 250,000, and it all puts them at $15, right? This one has an awesome restaurant, right? Very cheap. I mean, very reasonable price on all their food. Well, actually, like 20,000, 25,000. And very delicious, great food, man. So just everything being so convenient, I decided to go ahead and pay instead of being out in the rain. I'm glad I did, because it just downpoured. The last few days it's been downpouring really bad. So so I stay here till midnight, leave at 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm going over to Bajo. From there, 592 kilometers on the northern route. And then I get to Lorentuca. You guys probably won't be able to read that. Lorentuca is on the very far east side of the island. From there, I can actually take a boat up to Makassar, and it'll be 29 hours on the ferry, so a day, and Google says 1 day and 5 hours, so it'll be an overnight trip. But if I get there by the 28th, so once I land, I have up to the February 28th to get my butt all the way across and get a ticket to go up north. I might have to try and buy a ticket online just so they don't sell out before I get there. But I don't want to buy it too early, just because, just in case something happens along the way. So that's the whole plan. I left I posted basically what the route looks like. I also posted a link to Google Maps in my posts. It'll take you to basically the route I'm planning on doing. And yeah, that's about it, guys. Let me jump up on the comments here. Have you tried to order off Tokopedia? No. Tuma is the one most people actually they suggested I order through. But I actually just haven't ordered anything because I haven't stayed in one spot long enough to get a delivery. That's basically it. And Combo Ireland. Yeah, I'm not going to Komodo Island, guys. It's too touristy, too expensive. Just so you remember. I guess you will go to Makassar via Level and then continue to ship to. No, okay, so wow, basically, Eric, I'm not going over to Bajo and then Bajo up to Makassar. I'm going from Bima to Bajo. Bajo, bicycle until I get over to Lorentuca, and then Lorentuca, I'll take the ship up. So there's a big pause of 190 kilometers in between. So hey, they have a hostile happy dog too. Hey, take the southern route, huh? Well, there's not much of a difference in mileage from the northern route and the southern route. I just basically, I need to kind of look at the elevation climbs, but there's a few things. Is too jungly. It makes it hard on camping because of the critters that are in the jungles. Beaches are always the easiest to camp on. So unless you're planning on staying in like one of the huts I stayed in, which isn't bad, actually, and they don't mind. It's for getting out of the out of the sun, and also for storing grain and stuff like that when it is time to start cutting down. But um, so I decided, but normally the rice fields are not good spots to camp because they're muddy. They're really muddy. And so lightest rain, and you just, even if you're in an area that doesn't get muddy, trying to get out of that area, you're probably going to get, mud all over you. So, but beaches are usually, all public, and you usually can find a spot uh, set back far enough to stay away from the wind. Right on the beach is not the best smart because when a storm moves in, your stuff is getting blown over. So I'll check out the southern van. I'll check out the southern route. So I'll look at it. As long as it's not too difficult, and I'll check out the camping areas along the way too. My main thing is I noticed that it seems that the farther away from like the touristy areas, like um, the it gets a little more expensive. Like at least on these islands, like right in here, almost all the hotels and stuff are about 250,000, so $15. And so I'm breaking my rule by not doing the $10 or less. My max is like 150,000, so it's like 100,000 over. It's But on Flores, the island of Flores, so the next island, I noticed that they're kind of the same way. They're kind of really expensive. Now you're going to get the $5 hostels and stuff in the touristy spots because they're competing with other spots that are trying to do the $5. But if no one is posting, $5, then you just post what everybody else is doing. So if they're all at the $10 level, you're at the $10 level too, even if your place doesn't really, you know, uh, you know, even if your place is not really qualified to charge that much. And so, anyway, uh, is Flores actually pretty touristy? I did notice there was a lot of hotels on that island that are through like Agoda and stuff. So I'm like, oh, that must be pretty touristy. Um, so I have no idea. I'm just going over there because it is the last really major island that I can basically say I did the whole island strain. There is one more island, obviously, but I had to figure out if I'll have the time. Okay, Doug says, I did a quick Google Map comparison. Northern route had 5,000-meter climbing and 5,000 descending. The southern route has double that at 10,000 meters climbing and 10,000 meters descending. Yeah, okay. Um, so it's going to be twice as hard to do the southern route as the northern route. We'll see. Yeah, that so far it looks like the vote's going to the northern route. Hey, hey, we got Adam here. All right. It says, as soon as you reach Makassar, find more bike shops, and there are a lot of bike shops, and some of them is recommended. Okay, cool. So as long as I can hold off on Flores, if I can make it all the way through Flores, which is not a whole lot. I mean, when I first sent it through Google Maps was saying almost like 800 kilometers for Flores to get over to the other side. I'm like 750 or something, I think. I'm like, I'm not sure if I could do that in 2 weeks to catch the next ferry. But then I ran it through again, and now it's just steadily saying 592 kilometers. So I don't know what changed on it. Okay, thank you, Adam. I'll keep that in mind. So I just have to push through this next island, and then I'll be able to go up there and get some real work done. Are you going to ride from Makassar to Manado? Yeah, I'm going to be on. Once I get to Makassar, I'm going to be following basically the main route. I think is a little on the west side, to as far north as I can before I take the ferry over um, to the next island over. I'll have about 2 months to do all this, so it's two major islands, so I'll have to do in 2 months, basically a month each island. I just don't want to run out of time because by that time I should be crossing the border back into, I'll be in the Borneo. I'll be on Borneo and then I'll be crossing into the Malaysia side on crossing the ground border to the Malaysian side at the very as my visa expires. That's the plan. Hopefully it sticks to that plan. So far I've been okay. The closest call I had was when they turned me away at the border. I had like a few more days on my visa, getting from Cambodia into Thailand, and they're like, no, you can't cross on this border. You got to go down 70 kilometers. Remember, this is all on videos, guys. On this dirt road going through the mountains, and all they do out there is basically mine, like a rock quarry mining and stuff. So, yeah, I ended up, took me like 3 days to get through 70 kilometers because it was so mountainous. So I camped 2 times out there. But by the time I was going across the border, it was like the next day, it was like the day right before it expired, so I lucked out on that one. After will be less bikes like in Nusa Tenggara. Okay, so Adam says because after Makassar will be less bike shops like in Nusa Tenggara. All right, so I need to do the bike shops in Makassar. All right, cool, definitely. Then that will be on my. I'll stay a few days in Makassar just to get everything done. And the more you go to remote places, the higher the accommodation price. Yeah. Yeah. It's, Eric says, yeah, the more you go to remote places, the higher the accommodation prices. Yeah. It's because they're not really competing with each other, for the, and a lot of times in the less touristy spots, the prices are going to be higher too. Because you can make up for the lower prices in the bulk amount of people that you're getting when you're working with a lot of tourists. And so if you drop the prices to be more competitive, you get more of the bulk coming in. But when you're not getting that bulk touristy, then you have to jack up your prices more because you're getting a lot less people, So I understand the reasoning behind it. It's just I have a tent too. But sometimes it's like these luxuries of actually having like a bed or being able to sleep in, because unless you're sleeping under trees, the morning sun will start cooking you at like 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock is almost too hot. So you don't get the luxury of sleeping in at all. And I do. I'm not one of those bicyclers that wake up at like 4 o'clock in the morning just to get there before the sun goes, And I understand why they're doing it. The only time I did that is Camino Trail. It was at 7 o'clock. You're out the door by 7 o'clock because everybody's out the door by 8. Because they need to clean out the albergue. The albergue is hostels set up for the religious pilgrims. Well, it's not really religious anymore, but it's just for the pilgrims coming through. So yeah, it's an awesome trail. But yeah, every day you're up at 7 o'clock, and you do that for for over a month. You get used to it. But I'm more of a night owl for some reason. My body clock likes to stay up late and then sleep in late. So I don't know why that is. I've just always been that way. Yeah, the more you go. Okay, guys, we've been doing this a half an hour. I think that's pretty well it. You kind of got the hey, so you guys want to put in any recommendations in when I posted the link that in the post on my channel, in the comments section, put any suggestions, maybe spots to go or changes to the routes and stuff like this. I look them all up. Any suggestion or person, even though I might not respond to it, I am actually looking up your guys's your recommendations and stuff. It's just I don't, off the top of my head, know where you're talking about, so I have to jump on Google Maps and look up the spot and then determine if I can do it or not. So just jump into the comments section where I posted my route that I'm planning on taking, and just say, hey, you might want to check this out along the way, or if you actually live along the way and just want to meet up and have a cup of coffee or something, do that too, because I met some really cool people. There's just this last island over, well, like Adam, and so it's like, yeah. So if you want to meet me, I'm coming your way. Make sure if you want to change the routes, just put it in the comments section. And That's definitely, and if you guys want to actually have more of a discussion on a day-to-day, I definitely highly recommend you jump on the Telegram board, link in the description, and just come talk to Doug or me or Flea. Yeah. By the way, I watched your video when you got attacked by millions of ants in the morning. That's scary, man. Which time? Because uh, so on that video where I woke up, there was a lot more ants. So I opened up my zipper, and they were like all over here, and they were on the inside. They, were all over me. And I'm like, what the hell? And I opened the zipper, and they were like all over the front, right? And that's when I got my body spray, and I was trying to mask the smell of their, they leave scent trails. So I'm like spraying them. Like, why am I not getting this on camera? So that first yanking out of the bag, where everything's kind of dark, and then it's yanked out of that's because I'm just removing the cover. I hit start somehow, and I was removing the cover of that. I didn't realize it was on. I unzipped it. So I decided to leave that in because it kind of had a cool effect to it. And then, so those parts actually fit together pretty good. So I was actually kind of happy about how the waking up with all those teeny ants. But Eric, there's another one too when I was still doing hammock camping where they were dropping out of the trees on me. I didn't realize that. And they were all over my rope and everything. And this was, found out, rubber tree plants, they just live, and these were big red ones. Not the strongest sting to them, but definitely a lot of them just showered down on me because they weren't climbing up my leg, but then all of a sudden they were all over me. And I'm trying to get my hammock down. So, and yeah, so ants have been a big problem with me. Monkeys and ants. So, yeah, that one was a ways back, but yeah. So I have bad luck with those monkeys, with the ants. If you find any Indomart, Alphamarts, just trying to find just try to find a kapur, a jed. If you find any Indomart, just try. Is that a drink? Let's try to find. Yeah, Eric, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm assuming that the kapur. A jid is a drink, right? But you can leave a comment in one of my videos, and I'll see it. I read all the comments still. I haven't been able to. I mean, it takes a while, but I do read them all. Is the latest tourist hype. So Bajo is the latest tourist hype. Plane tickets from Jakarta goes to $300 US. Well, it costs less than 100 to Bali. Wow. So, yeah. So, the surrounding places are getting more popular, huh? Manado is a beautiful history. I don't know. Okay. Northern Sulawesi. Manado is northern Sulawesi. That's like a magic chalks, which I usually use to avoid ants. Oh, yeah, for ants, I don't carry around anything like that. There's diatomaceous earth, which is like, I think, crushed up like seashells into a powder or something. And yeah, you can, there's things to keep the ants away, but I'm not packing that stuff around. Best thing to do is hopefully just if they're not around. But the thing is, when you're setting up the tent, it's also in the evening, so they're already docile. So you might not see a lot of ant activity while you're setting it up because it's already in the evening. They're all basically their metabolism slowing down, because it's cooling down, and they're back at home. And then in the morning, bam, they're all over you. So that's some, ants are ants. Yeah, ants from above is crazy. Creating a memory of Bimbi. Yeah, Bimbi was a cool deer, guys. So at least I added that in. It was also really cool just to go out and hang out with my cousin. I remember having good, memories. Now, my grandparents was one of those things when we grew up in an age where, especially being on a farm, my grandpa was up before the sun was up, drinking coffee and smoking his cigarettes. And when the sun just started cracking, right? You know, there's that light section, you know, when everything starts getting light, he was already out on the tractor or doing something, right? But even as kids, we were not allowed to stay indoors, right? But, you know, TV only had about 4 or 5 channels anyway. Um, and not every, and we, you know, it's like my grandma was not going to let us hang around indoors. If we hung around indoors, no, she would just wouldn't allow it. And we were outside. And before the sun went down, when it started going into dusk and everything started, the darkness started settling, not when it was dark, but once you start seeing everything, you know, not after the sun's gone behind the mountains, but before that, you were supposed to be home. You know, there was like a certain time that you knew you were supposed to be at home, and if you didn't, you could get your butt paddled. So it was funny because it was one of those things is grandma would kick you out, except for you come back for like a sandwich during lunch and then before the sun sets, right? At dusk. And then it was like, so we were out all day, but we had to stay away from grandpa because my grandpa was a mean old military, you know, SOB, you know, I mean, he was. He didn't like anyone. He just didn't like anyone. He was one of those type of, just always angry. So we just avoided him, but we'd go find stuff. You know, we'd make little carts and forts, and you know, we make forts into the bushes, and we made our own little go-karts because we found like a little junk pile, like a dump, where we'd find things that with wheels on it and roll down the hills and stuff like this. So we had a great old childhood, but that was the way you did it, is you played. You didn't have a phone. You didn't have, you know, you actually had human communications, you know. And you had to have a good imagination, otherwise you'd get bored, you know. And unfortunately, a lot of kids aren't getting that type of healthiness still, you know. There's a big benefit of just being out in the sun, you know, and enjoying nature and using your imagination to entertain yourself, you know. So, anyway, I just feel bad that the new generation, you know, as parents, you know, I think we're going to get to a point where we're going to figure out, hey, kid shouldn't have a cell phone until he's over 15 or something, just so he can have that time up to that point to experience what it's like to be a kid. Once you know, maybe his 16th birthday, here you go, here's a gift, you know. But that's, a lot of parents aren't willing to do that because they're like, well, I need to communicate with my child, you know, and this and that. Well, yeah, if you want to hover over your kids, you know. But honestly, I went to school all the time. I didn't have a phone, you know. No one around me had phones, you know. But you know, it's just a weird world. It's not the same world I grew up in, so I'm not familiar with it. So, of course, we're always going to think our generation was better and stuff like this. Generation X was the best, though. Let's see. Okay, Kapoor Ajit. Oh, also known as magic chalk. Okay, that's what you were talking about, not a drink. It is common household insect killer in Indonesia that looks like ordinary white chalk but contains insecticide. People use it by drawing lines along the floors. Okay. One thing is, I probably wouldn't carry that around. I would just deal with the insects because I'm bound to get that wet. Even if it's in a bag, it's more stuff to carry. And I'm not looking to kill every insect that I'm around. They were there before me, but yeah, it's good to know. I could start putting that around my tent, but I'm not planning on being in one spot for a long time. So I just try and avoid any of the insects. I think probably be the better way. I'm not a hippie either. I mean, I don't have any problems if a few insects dies, you know. Walls, doorways around where tents and cockroaches. I did do that with my tent in Tennessee because I was in one location for a long time. You can even actually do it with baking powder. You know, baking powder works just as good too. They don't like that stuff. With the poison eventually. Yeah, it's poisonous. It's cheap, widely available. I'll keep that in mind though. I think I'll just deal with the insects. It makes good TV anyway. Small neighborhood shops and consider a practical solution in tropical climates with insects are common. Hey man, very long time to speak in here. I think since Cambodia, if you're in Sulawesi, there is a must. Okay, maybe The most fascinating area I've ever seen in my travels around the world. Enjoy. Okay. All right, Stephen. Thank you. And you don't have to carry it around. Just use one straw. The tent. Oh, okay. Yeah, actually, that's a good idea, Eric. I mean, just pick it up as I pick up food for the night. If I think I'm going to be in an insect area, I look for that and just buy a package, use it all up. Then I don't have to worry about carrying it around. That's a good idea. If it's cheap, then it might be worth the investment. I was, for some reason, it's my head that I'll be carrying it around everywhere, but I could do one-time use. My bicycle chain's okay. It was fixed twice though, so you'll have to watch the newest video coming up here tomorrow. A piece is more expensive than fish in Flores. The price of a piece of chicken is more expensive than fish in Flores. Okay, I don't know. I guess I'll be eating fish. All right, guys. 45 minutes. That's a long time. I think I caught up on everything. Hey, thanks everyone for joining me. I think you guys are all caught up. I didn't film anything today because I've been indoors the whole time. So this last video is actually the last material I got. And tomorrow or tonight, I'll be actually hopping on the bandwagon out of here and over to Flores. All right, guys. Never eat anything in tent. Even a crumb will create an ant invasion. Yeah, it does. Yeah. But it's one of the, someone actually mentioned hang your food from the trees. There's monkeys in the trees. You know, for bears and stuff, yes. If you have a problem, if you're in a bear country, hang your, actually, it's rats. Also keep away from the rats. Hang it from a tree, but you can't really do that in Southeast Asia. The dang monkeys will get to it. All right, guys. Peace out. And, we'll continue this adventure tomorrow. All right. Bye-bye.